of heaven and hell. Satan as well. Life is a trip when you taking some trips, and life ain't a. She's a complicated pessimist. Closest thing we got, that guy's a woman, so I'm feminist. Reminisce of past lives, the past time. But I just wanna sip my lemonade. I just. But I just wanna sip my lemonade. Meditate on the moment. Meditate on the moment. Meditate on the moment. It's been a long time coming. I ain't got much else to say. I spent a long time running, but now I'm walking steady, ready for whatever. Gave me two choices, so I broke the lever. Ain't never been a fake, but I've always been a factor. Real as the bills I ain't never paid, and I ain't never been afraid to do what I want to do when I want to do it. All I ever wanted to do was make music, make music, make music. But I just wanna sip my lemonade. And I just wanna sip my lemonade. From Stockton, California, to the whole world. I just wanna sip your lemonade, bruh. We all got problems we going through. Don't let them bring you down, though. Put your lemonades up.
From cowboys and Indians to wild boys and mini men, the bandito that's down for the citizens. In California, originally from Michigan, from the Midwest, so live in the Western. Put it on a blanket, that's how they test germs. Take your land and then let the rest burn. Don't know, then you best learn. Runaway slaves became cowboys. Better run away, cause you's a wild boy. Puff on peace pipe, a loud noise. When we take your cash and credits now void. Yeah, I'm sure my ancestors was bandits. Quick draw McGraw, looking for an advantage. Before you planned it, you get banished off the planet. Corpses rancid, vultures left you one-handed. By cactus and tumbleweed, I humbly continue to crumble leaves. Honey backwood attracting bumblebees. It's still pistol horses and dirt trails. Having shootouts at the sound of church bells. Put my ear to the ground, hear what the earth tell. Welcome to the wild, wild west, love the perp smell. It's still pistol horses and dirt trails. Having shootouts at the sound of church bells. Put my ear to the ground, hear what the earth tell. Welcome to the wild, wild west, love the perp smell. Soul climber, ain't no old timers. Outlaw cold rhymers and close designers. If you trying to define us, don't try to find us. Put you in the earth and blow that mind up. Step your mind up. Get it through your understanding. I leave you scrambling, no matter what you have planned. I catch him at the Grand Canyon, letting off the hand cannon while I left no man standing. I shot the sheriff, not the deputy. Smoke like a legend, leave a legacy. My weaponry's a necessity to this western beat. So rest in peace to the head honcho. I'm pulling out pronto for reaching under ponchos. It's still pistol horses and dirt trails. Having shootouts at the sound of church bells. Put my ear to the ground, hear what the earth tell. Welcome to the wild, wild west. Love the perp smell. It's still pistol horses and dirt trails. Having shootouts at the sound of church bells. Put my ear to the ground, hear what the earth tell. Welcome to the wild, wild west. Love the perp smell. Stories told, sit under stars by campfire. Watch out for that werewolf that ran by you. Pistols and lamp fire. Yes, I'ma stand by you. They scared of the light, they suckers like vampires. But with no hassle, and before they grab you, caught them with a lasso. Turn around and blast them. Look them to her satchel. Snakes with more rattle. Don't let them slash you. Still a few cattle. Cause we've been in first. Forgiveness, I send it first. On knees, I've been in church. Bandana, 10 whispers. Outlaw to senators. Big balls, not miniature. Opposition, injurer on the clock. Like minute work. High school, I'm a minister. I'm just trying to end the curse. What I'm on the stage for. Yes, I'm grateful. Not to get the pesos. Cowboy hat and a great coat. Can't get the place though. Mary Jane in the stagecoach. Showing my city love. Tells from a witty thug. Writing he really does, and weed to give me buzz. Don't need no silly drugs, cause pages I'm filling up. So to the west side sunset, giddy up. But still, pistol horses and dirt trails. Having shootouts at the sound of church bells. Put my ear to the ground, hear what the earth tell. Welcome to the wild, wild west. Love the perp smell. It's still pistol horses and dirt trails. Having shootouts at the sound of church bells. Put my ear to the ground, hear what the earth tell. Welcome to the wild, wild west. Love the perp smell.
What's up, everybody? You are listening to Chillin' with Ches. That was Wild Wild West by Sirius P.
Yes, yes.
And so we have Cesare Day in the house for her show, and she's going to be interviewing today's guest, Erica Magana.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming in, Erica. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to all the contestants for Mixed Metaphors last night. Thank you again for stopping by. It was the season 2 premiere, and You Know Me Nay Productions is teamed up with Hella Deadass, and we've incorporated a producer competition to the round. And it was really dope. The contestants got to go record at Port City Recordings afterwards, and it was pretty awesome. So thank you to Harmon, Abby, Sirius, and Romans. Yes. And shout out to DJ Loot, Mace Mula, and Herb One for the beats. But without further ado, I do have Erica Magana. She has quite a few events coming up that she would like to talk about. So let's start off with you telling us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. So I'm from Stockton, born and raised.
Okay.
I just recently graduated in May, so I was kind of not sure where I was gonna, go into next.
Graduated from
UOP.
Okay, right on.
I graduated from UOP in May. And so right after graduation, I went to spend some time in Miami, in Florida, where I got involved with End Rape Culture nonprofit.
Okay.
When I got involved, it was in its beginnings. It got approval, and I was super involved with the launch party. And we did a couple workshops. One of the main ones I remember was a toxic masculinity workshop.
Okay.
And then we also held a whole summer's worth of self-defense classes.
Right on.
And so that whole experience, being exposed to talking about rape culture, it helped me also on a personal level. There's certain things that I wasn't ready to talk about until I got involved. And so because it helped me so much and I saw the impact that it was making out there, I wanted to bring it back to my hometown, Stockton.
Right on.
And so that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I'm in the process of expanding end rape culture out here, and my first event would be the Slut Walk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about end rape culture, what your guys' mission is, and if you're comfortable, tell us, why it's important to you. If not, we completely understand.
Okay. So I'll definitely tell about the mission. So we stand for essentially challenging views that kind of perpetuate rape culture. For example, we address gender inequality and standards that were often faced to me, and sometimes those expectations can be harmful. So we stand to challenge societal norms and expectations in regards to gender, and we also stand in solidarity with survivors of sexual assault, and we do this via education first and foremost, and then events that empower people.
Right.
And get people thinking about maybe some prejudices that we hold that we don't really think too much of. Yeah.
Okay. Now, with the Slut Walk, What exactly is that? Why? I know a lot of people wonder why that name in particular. You know what I mean? So you want to give us a little bit of information?
Of course. So I'll start with the name. So the word slut is a derogatory term. It has a very negative connotation, and oftentimes, or actually the definition is a woman who is promiscuous. It's not a person, it's a woman. So automatically it's kind of
Gender bias.
Gender bias, exactly. So, and then when you look at sexual assault and rape culture, a lot of the things that happen when a survivor comes forward is victim blaming. So they get
And shaming.
shamed, slut shamed in particular, where it's like, oh, you were asking for it. So the origins of the slut walk was in Canada, after a police officer basically told a group of college women that they wouldn't get raped if they don't dress like sluts. So essentially, it was victim blaming,
Right.
because clothes don't cause someone to be sexually assaulted.
Right.
So yeah, so that's where it originates. That's why the word is there, and it also calls a lot of attention to other things like double standards and gender expectations when it comes to sexuality. Yeah.
Right on. I definitely, I think that's it.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I've never been to a walk like that. I won't say the word just because it is kind of derogatory, and I, it's one of those words that I'm just like, huh. But are they all called that? Are they all called?
Slut walk?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's a movement.
It's a movement.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I said, go ahead.
Okay, so I was just wondering, okay, what can you paint that picture of what that looks like for the people who don't know what that is?
Of course. So essentially, when the movement originated, women stood in solidarity with each other and went out and protest. And to take it a step further, to address that issue of victim blaming and slut shaming, they dressed like what a slut is perceived to dress like. So in other words, they went out in their bras, they wrote all over their bodies to kind of prove the point even further as to like reclaiming one's body. And it's like, it's my body, and no matter if I dress like this, no matter how nude I am, it still does not give anyone the right over it. That's essentially.
Okay, so what we'll be expecting to see walking, where is it going to be held at, the slut walk that's here in Stockton?
It's going to be downtown, and so people are encouraged to dress like that, but they're not expected to. So you can come fully dressed and support the cause if that's what you want. And it's about not shaming people's choices. So a lot of the times, it goes both ways. To modesty and nudity, both get shamed. So
That's
really what it's about respecting personal choices and not being judgmental, regardless of what you
I think
choose.
for Renee and I, it's a little difficult because as females in the hip hop industry, sluts aren't really shamed. It's kind of like what is celebrated. And that's kind of like how you say modesty is also shamed in a lot of areas. That's one area that, over sexualization is very prevalent, and it's very it's looked at in a very good light. And if you're not like that, then it's looked at negatively. But that being said, I understand completely, where you guys are coming from with what you're doing. You know what I mean? So I just want to say, don't take it anything
and we're
wrong
just trying to
about
help
what
everybody understand to when they start to see these things, because when I first found out that people would be like possibly in lingerie and things like that walking down the street, I myself was shocked, just because I thought, oh my gosh, like I wouldn't want my man to see something like, I wouldn't want my man to be looking at the, kind of thing, or like maybe the younger kid, or just things that it's just kind of like, oh, I don't want like my daughters to think that they can go out and buy something like that and think it's okay to rock that because that was their personal choice. Like I still would kind of have a boundary, and but in the same respect, yes.
And she means while they're minors.
Yeah. Right,
once,
of course.
you know.
Of course, yes. So, but, you know, it's kind of some of those things. But I want people to understand that when you're explaining to them that it's women are making the stand to say we can wear what we want to wear and we should not have to be sexualized or victimized in a sense. Now, how does that, when that's already kind of like the stigma, how is doing that per se going to actually change the thought of somebody, or, you know what I mean? The way people actually perceive it. Because to change the culture, you have to change a belief.
Of course. And I don't think that with one movement, with one march, it's going to change someone's mind overnight.
Right.
However, I think that it's like a very bold way to get attention to the fact that it's a cause that needs attention on it. It's very frustrating when I'm applying for like grants and stuff like that, and then you have categories like education, sustainability, and stuff like that, and rape culture doesn't fall under any of those categories. So it's like, which one do I qualify for? Along with on a broader
what would you say what it would fall under? If you could create a category for it, what would you categorize it as?
I would say education and safety prevention, because it's all about education. It's about educating the public as to, I guess, new standards that society is adopting with like the Me Too movement. It's no longer acceptable to casually grab someone a certain way. A lot of videos in the media from a couple years back have recently come out, and people are analyzing them differently than back then, when it was just like, oh, whatever, that happened. And now it's like, oh no, she looked uncomfortable when they made those comments, or when they were just focusing on her body.
So starting to focus on the woman, her as a woman, and the situation that she finds herself in. What the situation being wrapped around the sexual energy. I want to say energy because now, but it turns something negative where this other person might be, okay, so she might be sitting in an energy. Let's kind of paint this picture for people and kind of help them understand, like, why this woman would feel uncomfortable, why the men should not be doing what they're doing. And even another woman might be doing the same kind of thing to the woman who may be under attack. So can you just kind of give somebody maybe an example like that, a situation as to how that is an educational piece and what that brings, just as a little snippet for them to understand that?
So as far as ownership of your own body and kind of like addressing views of entitlement of a woman's body is essentially what I'm trying to get at, because of like patriarchy, or I don't know, the male gaze idea, how typically people think that a woman dresses a certain way or carries herself in a certain way because they're seeking attention.
To capture attention, right.
But that's not true.
Right.
That's not true.
Absolutely right.
For everybody. And then...
although some do.
Yeah, and that's...
So there's that flip side to it.
and that should be okay, too.
So how is it for women? So when you're trying to change the culture, not just the men's thinking, okay, how is it an educational piece to the women? So like now that you're not putting that message out there, but if that is what they're doing,
a woman,
how are they going to understand and grow in their femininity, I guess you could say, or whatever it is, because it's a woman might continue to be that stigma, you know?
Well, I don't think a woman is asking to be that stigma when she wants to dress provocatively. I feel like femininity for everybody is different.
Okay.
And I think it should be respected. It goes back to the nudity and modesty type of thing. Some women get empowered by nudity. Some women get empowered with modesty. Sure. And so I feel like it's the accepting that a woman can be expressing herself sexually without thinking automatically, oh, well, she's a slut, or oh, she's asking for it, oh, she's only doing this for attention.
Right.
And now she's attacked and being touched and
Yeah.
being groped or
Right.
having these.
Well, I personally,
comments.
I think there is a such thing as promiscuity. I think there's promiscuity for both genders. If there isn't a word for a male that's promiscuous, let's make one up. You know what I mean?
Can we just call him a slut too?
can we expand
goal.
Can we just call him a slut
can
too?
we expand the definition
Because a
to
lot
include
of the times
males?
it's like, oh, man slut or man whore. Like, just putting the word man in front of the word kind of
Gives
gives you
them
an
a
idea.
change of.
Like, it's like, you have to address that it's for a man, because when you hear the word slut, you automatically think of a woman. Yeah.
So a man slut?
I would just say slut, but
Yeah. I would just say
I think we should just
slut.
give them their own word. Let's just give them their own word, and then we don't have to share a word, but I don't know. But I do see, I think there's a difference. Like, I personally, I completely get you should be able to dress however you want to and not worry about being raped or harassed or
Right.
anything like that. That's anybody's right. But when it goes to the point of, I don't want you to think a certain way about me, I feel like by default, you're kind of overstepping what it means to be human. Like, people are going to think what they want to think, and especially like if you like I just said, I personally believe in promiscuity. So whether you're a male or female, if you're doing certain things, I'm not shaming you for it, but I'm going to think a certain, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to slut shame, but you're a slut. You know what I mean? Like, type of thing. Like, I do you, as long as you're not, as long as you're not hurting kids or animals or anybody that's not consenting to be hurt. You know what I mean?
And
like,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's about
The behavior
allowing
shame,
people to be themselves.
To be a slut if they want to be a slut.
Exactly.
Allow people to be promiscuous if they want to be promiscuous.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's
America, man.
really what it should be. No, well, worldwide, really, on when you're looking at it on a humanity scale, yes, that's like each to their own. Let peace be peace. So you let people be in their peace, and if that is peace, however, it's just those behaviors that bring chaos, because it's those kinds of behaviors that go against humanity in a sense, because now you look at the heart, you look at the soul, you look at the spirit of a being, and when people get into situations like that, they don't stop to think about what it is that they're actually tearing up on a different level through the behaviors of just promiscuity, just because they want to have fun.
Or
and
on the
enjoy.
flip side, solitude. You know what I mean? I could easily be a hermit and live with my cats in a cabin somewhere in the woods and never deal with people. You know what I mean? But as a human being, I can recognize that I would be missing out on certain things. So in that sense, I see what you're saying. But at the end of the day, it's up to every person to judge
just be their
what's
own.
best for them. And you know what I mean? We're all walking this life for, this one time.
Yeah.
At least for our
And if y'all
experience
choose
right now.
to link up, that's cool too. I mean, you just gotta let people be people, right? So that's the whole like aspect of it, is letting people be people. But now when it gets into what you're talking about, like rape and sexual harassment, now that hits a different level. Like when the behavior becomes disrespectful, like when the chaotic behavior of thinking that they can just do whatever to anybody, any particular individual, is where then now looking at the whole grand scheme of things and everybody's different in the way that they're thinking and what they perceive as promiscuous, depending on like where they came from, their upbringing, and all kinds of different things. But in the grand scheme of things, it's just ending the rape culture of taking a look at it from a different perspective, right? And it's just allowing them to say, we're going to let you be you. I respect that. I'm not pushing up or touching and things of that nature. I think that gets into a whole different kind of behavior than when you start to look at it, because then it comes to the individuals and their compulsivity, being a compulsive person of maybe they're like a nymphomaniac or something, and like there's things that trigger them, people with fetishes, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? And then that comes into like maybe somebody's individual like self-discipline. So maybe we could talk about that in the grand scheme of things, whereas it pertains to changing the culture. Do you guys address things on that level? Like, do you address self-discipline?
Self-discipline as far as
On the
Keep your hands
on the
to
side of the
yourself.
male.
oh yeah
On the side of the male and the female too. Yeah.
well yeah I feel like a lot of times people like to look at it like male and female, but at the end of the day it's like rules that apply to everybody.
It's
Right.
that
Like,
behavior itself.
so we talk about consent a lot.
Okay.
So sex without consent is rape. You must get permission.
You can't get permission from a drunk person.
You
Right.
can't get permission.
In the state of California, a drunk person cannot consent. Just throwing that out there, y'all.
So, yeah, we definitely do address consent a lot, and basically, no means no, and getting a yes.
If she's resisting, that might mean something different. Don't think that because she's laughing, that, because sometimes people laugh when they're uncomfortable,
Right.
but it doesn't mean that they're having a good time.
Right.
So how do they go about getting consent?
How do people ask? Just ask.
The best way.
Well,
ask.
but see, they need to know that, right? Because some people will be like, well, what? Well, her body language is saying like she wants it, and she's playing
What
along
is the
with
line,
it,
yo,
and it's just like okay. But at the end, if she says no, like right before the
Your
do,
mind
she
telling me
says
no, but your body's saying
it's
yeah.
no.
So, like, we were talking about, like, feeling empowered with, like, with, like,
Promiscuity.
Yes, I can't say it right now. But, so, yeah, so maybe she's just, having a good time, but she doesn't want to have sex. And she is not, she
Obligated.
doesn't have
Yeah,
to
she's
have,
not obligated. That part.
So regardless of how much you flirt and how much you think she wanted you, because maybe you're seeing things that are not even there, you have to get consent.
Yeah.
Essentially, and it comes with education. I personally think that sex education is not implemented enough. There's all kinds of sexual education for different ages. Parents could start talking to their kids about sex in ways that are appropriate. For example, anatomy, like body parts, and then ownership of your own body and stuff like that.
My mom taught us what areas people shouldn't touch us in when I was like 2 or 3. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And it's very important to address or start talking about it at a young age, because then that opens a communication gateway. And I feel like that plays a communication and being open to talk about sex and anything related to sex is essential in shifting the paradigm within rape culture. So yeah, I think it's not done enough. It's not. It has like a negative. The word sex has like a negative connotation as well. On the way here, actually, I was listening to the radio, and I forgot what song they were playing, but essentially it was alluding to sex. And then the radio personnel was like, "Oh, you nasties, use protection if you want to be nasty," and stuff like. So it's always like nasty, naughty, like all these like kind of negative connotations are associated with sex. And so another thing that I want to address at the Slut Walk is sex positivity. And so with that, kind of like embracing one's sexuality and not being shamed for it, as well as just simply talking about it through art. So I've teamed up with Pafani. Are you all familiar with her? So shout out to Pafani.
Shout out to Fanny.
Yes. So she's she committed to bringing her art along with other artists that she knows.
Shout out to, what is it, Sex Paint and Videotape. I think they're having volume 3 soon.
Awesome.
I think I saw something about that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So things that promote sex in a positive way.
So you're getting ready to do a photo shoot, right?
Yes. So on Saturday, we're having photography for sex positivity. It's actually a fundraiser. I thought it would be a very empowering way to raise proceeds for the Slut Walk. So essentially what you're getting yourself into if you decide to come out on Saturday at Vox Pop. It's right across from the movie theaters. It's a 15-minute photo shoot. And at the end of it, you'll get at least 3 edited pictures. We're going to have a couple different sets set up. Mariah from Vox Pop offered to bring in one of their beds that they had in the past because they hosted an erotica art show there.
Right. I think that was the last Sex Paint Videotape that Puffany and Punchy, I think is who does it.
Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, they're bringing that in. They have a cool backdrop for people to pose.
So it's going to be kind of like a boudoir, like.
Yeah,
type.
essentially. Yeah, be as sexy as you want, as
Full
nasty,
nude.
as nasty as you want, if we want to use those words too. Whatever you feel comfortable with, you're encouraged to come out and get those pictures done. A lot of people have reached out to me saying that they really wanted to do this in the past, and they've just never kind of had the courage to actually follow through with it. So I hope those people come out and experience something very empowering
Kind
in
of
a
like
safe space.
So it's kind of like a way for anybody who wants to kind of love themselves and their sexual energy.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So basically what this is so much so that society has shamed women and their bodies, and maybe if they're more promiscuous than others, maybe some people, even in their modesty, whatnot, may have a feeling of shame about their bodies. If this has ever happened to you, you may feel a little bit more shame about your body than others if you have been violated in one way, form, or fashion, you know. And so bringing you back to, and it is a power. Your sexual energy is a very strong power, such as love. It brings great creativity. It opens so many different depths of your soul, your spirit, of who you are as a human being. It unleashes and unlocks so much from you, as does love. So sexual energy is very strong, very powerful energy. It's very healthy energy. So you need to have that. Actually, everybody should have that. And it's vital to life. And so this event that you're going to be having is called sex photography?
Photography for sex positivity.
Photography for sex positivity, to help encourage you guys, anybody out there who is looking to really take this moment to be a part of the movement of ending rape culture, to be a part of the movement to just say, I honor my body, I honor myself, I honor those around me who do the same thing, but I'm going to love me, and just see yourself in such a positive light. Whereas once before, if ever you felt shamed so much so that you couldn't even look at yourself, now's the time for you to like regain and reclaim that power and energy. So I just want to.
I love that energy.
She got passionate about that one.
You said it well. It's essentially what you
said.
said.
It's the education piece that is really important for people to understand, like how much it's important to really love one's self.
Yes.
To be able to help change culture, because once you understand what that means for you, you can understand what that means for somebody else, and you wouldn't want to do that to them. I'm just saying.
Yes, I love all that. Yes. So.
And then you also have another screening coming up, right?
Yes, so I've teamed up with the Gender Studies Department at University of the Pacific, Dr. Halgren. She gave approval for sponsoring a screening of the documentary. It's called Unslut. So that's going to be taking place on March 21st at 5 p.m. in, I believe it's Wendell Phillips Center, room 140, for anyone that wants to come out. It's a free event. The documentary is about 40 minutes long, and there's going to be a fruit and dessert complimentary.
Oh, nice.
And then we're going to have a discussion panel. It's an informal conversation after the film. We're going to have Emily Linden, who is the founder of the Unslept Project, where the film kind of derives from. And we're going to have two professors, Dr. Laura Killick and Judith Javier Casillas, who are very knowledgeable and agreed to come out and have a conversation with us, along with Monica Miranda, senior health educator at Planned Parenthood, who's been super supportive of this movement. She's actually one of the first who was so excited that we were going to have a slut walk in Stockton. She's always wanted to go to the one in LA, the Ambrose Slut Walk, but she's never gotten a chance to go out there. So it's pretty cool that we're having one up here.
Right on.
So to talk a little bit more about what Unslept Project is, essentially the founder, Emily Linden, she was sexually bullied in middle school. As young as 12 years old, she was already seen as the school slut.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she talks about her story and how she was exploring her sexuality, and she was a little bit peer pressured into letting her boyfriend at the time, I believe, put his hand down her pants. And so rumors started that she had sex when she didn't have sex.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And so everyone was thinking that she was having sex, and so she was known as the slut, the school slut. And then it spilled into the community, so then the whole city was thinking that she was a slut. And so this film really focuses.
Started.
Yep. And that's another thing about slut shaming. It's based off of rumors. Like it's not always factual, you know, like. But anyways, so the film focuses on sexual bullying and how young girls, as early as 12 years old, are already faced with having to navigate life with the threat of being viewed as a slut. And I say a threat because it's a negative thing to be a slut, because once you're labeled as a slut, it's easier for people to think it's okay to touch you in certain ways or talk to you in certain ways. So that's what the film focuses on. It touches on a couple other stories where they have very unfortunate endings. Some of these girls commit suicide because of sexual bullying. And I
remember a story of this chick on YouTube. She had made this video that went viral because it was some kind of similar situation. Her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend leaked some pictures of her, and then it went viral. And then so that's definitely sexual bullying. Yeah, that's definitely a heavy thing. Bullying these days is just crazy in general.
In general, yes.
Like I just read something today, some like 13-year-old committed suicide because of bullying. And it's like, you didn't used to hear about stuff like that before.
And so essentially what Emily did with Unslept Project, she created a platform for young girls or just women in general to go in and kind of like share their stories and build one each other up. Because a lot of the times when we do hear of suicide, it's because they really didn't have a medium or a support system in place to like uplift them before they took such drastic measures.
Right.
And so that's essentially what she's doing. She's saving young girls with her project.
So I have a question then. Just people may see this later, but how, if they don't, and if they had chosen not to, or maybe they don't have time to see it, or maybe they forgot the name of it and it slipped their mind, if they don't ever get to hear some of those examples, what are some things that are expressed and that you would encourage people to use to build each other up, to build somebody up after having gone through that? To where they're at the point now where they are maybe suicidal or getting close to that. What would you say to them? What do you do for them to help build them up?
What do you say for it? Well, I am a firm believer in seeking professional help because
But what do you think they would say to them? Because what can anybody else say to somebody in that if they're feeling so down and out about it, you know? Like even so they would have to probably have a counselor or something that is like more specialized in maybe sexual assault or something. You wouldn't just want to go to any counselor.
Oh no, of course not. So you would want to do that, and also kind of, I feel like the power of sharing your story is immense. So knowing that you're not the only girl that's being slut shamed, that it's something that's happening to more than one person, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well then, how did you get through it? So you start building this community.
There's power in numbers.
Yeah, and so essentially that's what Unslut Project is. It's a platform for people who are faced with the same issue of sexual bullying, who perhaps have self-harmed by cutting or have considered suicide. It's there.
Right. Right on.
So I don't know if that answered your question. I don't know.
I was gonna say maybe we can give I don't know. You have information. Will there be information that day at the walk?
Well, I'm in no means any expert. I don't have all the answers.
Right, but like maybe like a number or somebody that they maybe like the Women's Center. I guess I would say the Women's Center might be a good place to start. So.
My vision for the Slut Walk, alongside with the art exhibit on positive sex, I also want to bring out organizations that do work and offer services for sexual assault trauma healing.
Are you still looking for organizations that feel that?
So far I only have one, which is Planned Parenthood, and I would really, 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 really appreciate if organizations would come out, and if the cause, and I'm sure the cause does motivate organizations that serve survivors of sexual assault. Right now, I'm at 100 people have registered to attend this event, and I recently launched it on Eventbrite on Sunday night. So within a week, 100 people have already registered, and I feel like I still have to do a little bit more outreach, a little bit more talking about it to reach as many people as that need to be reached, that need to come out and feel empowered on this day, and kind of like build momentum in Stockton to kind of start addressing sexual assault in a more outspoken way. Yeah.
You know, I think that really ties in with what our county is actually working on, a movement that we have that we are really pushing, and that is trying to rid our area of human trafficking, sexual human trafficking, and
That's
as well as labor. But that would be a great tie-in, especially for us. We are the voice of San Joaquin.
And people don't realize how big of an issue that is in our community. I used to work at Susie's, our local adult store, and we had a sign up at the door that said like it was some kind of
like if you
prevention.
were a person and you're trying to get away.
Like a code.
A number.
Well, not a code,
like
but it was
help number,
just
like a call 1-800 or 1-866 number.
Yeah, it's like you were not a product or something like that, and people would be like, "What the heck?" Like kind of laughing about it. And we'd have to tell them like, "No, like
that's true."
My cousin almost they tried to kidnap her. She literally had to like jump out of a moving vehicle type of thing. But yeah, that's real. So that's what I'm saying. There is. While I don't completely agree with everything, I feel like there is a big need for the overall message behind what you're doing. And I think it's really great that we are starting to have those talks in Stockton. And I'm not surprised that it's been difficult to try to, you know what I mean? But, well, you know, you're here. You're going to be on tomorrow as well.
With
and
Kimberly.
With Kimberly.
And then on Thursday, Rise and Shine. So
Shine till 9.
We're definitely going to continue to get the word out there. I do kind of unfortunately have to wrap this up because I have to head over to Hatch to meet up for some greatness that we were doing with Mexican Heritage Center and Dia de los Muertos. But thank you very much, Erica, for coming in. Do you want to give a run through of your dates and events?
So the actual Slut Walk will be April 6th. It's taking place in downtown Stockton. We're starting a rally in front of the courthouse off of Weber and El Dorado, I believe. Okay. And then we're hosting a block party, which I might change the location, so I'm not going to give a specific location right now. And then March 2nd, so next Saturday, we're having photography for sex positivity, 15-minute photo shoot, 3 edits, empowering experience at Vox Pop, right across from the movie theater. And on March 21st, it's the screening of the Unslept Project documentary with a discussion panel followed at UOP.
And where can any organizations that are interested in getting involved contact you?
So they can directly contact me via email. My email is erica@ercnow.org, or they can follow me on Facebook or the organization. Our Facebook name is ERC Nonprofit Organization. And I'm constantly posting about looking for vendors and talent performers. So if anyone's interested in jumping on board with the Slut Walk, the best way to be updated is via Facebook on our page, ERC Nonprofit Organization.
The email is erica@ercnow.org?
Yes.
Okay.
And so you just said you are still looking for artists to be involved?
Yes,
or?
I'm still looking for a few artists. I'm so excited. I have pretty cool lineup so far. But yes.
Can you divulge any of that, or is that top secret for Day of?
I want to make sure everything is set before I say anything. Right. So I'll be sharing on Facebook. So
nice. Right like on. So make sure you follow her, guys. Again, thank you so much, Erica, for coming on. And then that is End Rape Culture Nonprofit. Follow them on Facebook. Are you guys on Instagram too?
Yes, but I'm in charge of the Facebook page, so I would suggest Facebook.
Gotcha. Enough said.
Yes.
So again, if you're artists, photographers, are you looking for event photographers,
sure.
Anything like that?
Come out and
if you guys are interested in getting involved with the event in any shape or form, reach out to Erica. That was erica@ercnow.org. And be on the lookout for those events. That was photography for sex positivity, March 2nd at Vox Pop, 12 to 5. The Unslut documentary screening at UOP, March 21st, and then the actual Slut Walk itself, April 6th. So
also followed by the International Pillow Fight Day, April 6th.
Yes.
And then keep up with Mixed Metaphors and tune in for that coming up in March.
March 30th.
Also, we have another crab feed going on.
Yes, we have a crab fest going on March 23rd at Blackwater. And we're actually going to be donating some of the proceeds to Julie and Stockton Floral because of what happened right before Valentine's Day. So even if you guys don't want to come out and eat, you can come out and make a donation separately. We will have a silent auction going on with some local vendors and businesses. So definitely be on the lookout for all of those things coming up the next few months, guys. And again, thank you very much, Erica.
Thank you.
Sometimes I just wanna rap, bro. Sometimes I just wanna rap, bro. Sometimes I just wanna rap, bro. Yo, werewolf without the full moon, underworld, like in time. Catch me in a cave using candlelight, writing rhymes. The cleverest call me Everest, cause I like to climb. Never diss a rapper on stage, cause the mic is mine. With no ice to shine, just hyperline. A righteous mind goes farther than a life of crime. I know it's nice to find a rapper like me, and when I'm rocking off the top, you know it's actually free. All these actors they beat, soft like daiquiri, see. This track an appetizer, Applebee's, watch me snacking the beat. Attacking the streets, spatula speech, cause I'm flipping it. Switch it quick, wave a little watch, I'm a hypnotist. Smile, it's magic, style's the baddest. Flow raw, coleslaw, it's a pile of cabbage. Ancient aliens down the Nile, I'm savage. You can't hang with this Puerto Rican, I'm Miles Morales. This is Boom Bap, Onyx was my first cassette. Was it worth it? Yes. Big pun, that's what I purchased next. But now rappers, instead of doing the perfect set, they rapping over vocals and dabbing, popping some Percocets. Animal style, but I ain't talking pandas. My flow go in and out,
but keep it smooth like salamanders. Shouts to Bernie Sanders, he from Brooklyn politicking. So look, you gotta listen what I'm cooking out the kitchen. Mofongo.